What's up, YouTube? This is Racing Kid 39, and today I want to revisit a topic that I truly believe is a flying the under the radar problem with 2K, and that is a lack of customization in MyLeague for the uniforms in the arena. The uniform in the arena editor has virtually been the same since it was implemented into NBA 2K16, and I haven't seen hardly any changes that would help benefit the user. So today I'm going to talk about the problems with the uniform in arena editor and how they can fix it. So let's take the green flag to this video and get started. To start things off, I'm going to go to the team colors screen, and obviously you see the glitch logo here. This is for a fictional team that I made named the Oinkers Squad, but this is what drives me crazy. When you go in and you select your colors, all you're stuck with is a color wheel, and you have to fidget around the color wheel just to find an exact match that you are looking for. But what's even crazier is when you go into the shoe creator, back at the 2K main menu, they have an HSV and an RGB color slider. It just doesn't make any sense. Why is that not in the team branding screen for choosing colors? It just boggles my mind. And it really sucks having to fidget around a color wheel just to find an exact match. So, in all, this color wheel just needs to go. It's just a tedious process just to find an exact color that you are looking for. So, moving on to team logo now, I would like to see an option to add secondary and tertiary logos. I mean, you think about it in the collegiate and professional sports, just about every single team has a secondary or tertiary logo that they trademark and use on a regular basis. I would like to see an option just to add secondary and tertiary logos just to be added on in the team logos section. And last but not least, in the team branding screen, I would like to see the option to create custom t-shirts, have custom blimps, custom cheerleader outfits, etc. I think this would really improve the immersion of the on-court experience. Instead of 2K having the cheerleader outfits just being the two primary colors of the team, I'd like to be able to customize that outfit, as well as customizing a blimp. One example that I can think of is when my friend and I did a college MyLeague last year. The Toronto Raptors were the UNC Tar Heels, and when my friend rebranded the UNC Tar Heels, the odd thing was you'd still see the Toronto Raptors blimp just flying overhead. And I think that kind of kills the actual realism of making a different MyLeague, but I think being able to implement this kind of option into the game would really increase the customization for team branding. Alright, so now moving on to choosing a city to play in. It's very odd I don't see any options for cities like Durham. You don't see any options for any teams in South Carolina. There's no options for Mexico City. Really none up here in the Midwest section where you have Montana and South Dakota, North Dakota, Idaho. I mean, I would just like to see more options for cities to choose from instead of having... I mean, these are basically the same cities from 2K19, I'm pretty sure, so I think more cities to choose from would also help out as well. Now that I've talked about team branding and choosing the city, the next thing I'm going to move on to is the uniform editor, which in my opinion is the worst part about the customization in 2K MyLeague. So now I look over here at the jerseys, and what really just boggles my mind is the fact that they do not provide you Nike-style choices for uniforms. I mean, you think Nike was the official jersey provider of the NBA besides the Charlotte Hornets, and yet you don't have Nike logos to put on your jersey or your pants. You have to actually manually put them on and upload them to the 2K server, which still having problems with today. So I mean, you're using 2 of your 10 image slots just to upload Nike, Adidas, Puma, Reebok, whatever, those kind of logos onto your jersey. And now, and speaking of the image limit, that I'm going to move on to my next point, and that is the fact that there are only 10 image layers that you can add into the uniforms, which really limits the person's ability to create any realistic looking uniforms. And just like I talked about earlier, when you apply the Nike logo on the pants and the jersey, you're already using 2 of your 10 image slots. And it just doesn't make much sense to me. I mean, you have to put logos on the side, you have to put logos on the back. Another thing I've noticed is that when you put a design over the shoulder area of a player, it will warp over to the back of the jersey, which doesn't make much sense either. But it is what it is. And now I look at that, and moving over to fonts, I think the font selection is getting worse every single year now that I look at it. You take a look here. This is just using font 78. I think this is the old Golden State Warriors font. But what I've noticed here is that around 10 to 15 number fonts, you could only have one outline. So I take a look here, like font 76. Look, there's a black outline that you could add, but no, you can't do that. I mean, there's another one. You look at font 73. You could only add one color to it. Let's see. Any other ones? Font 70, the old Phoenix Suns font. Font 69, again, another old Phoenix Suns font. But there are some fonts on here that are just plain ugly. And let me find the font. I think it's font 35, I want to say. Yeah, font 35, the old Utah Jazz font. How is this still included in the game? I mean, this is just one full outline for the number. It just doesn't make much sense. How is this in the game? And the numbers don't really match up to the back of the jersey. You can't get realistic number sizes either. On top of that, you notice the number font is tied to the last name font, which kind of sucks as well. I wish there was an option where we could have a different font for the last name. But most importantly, I just want to see more number fonts to choose from. Mentioned earlier with as Nike being the official jersey provider of the NBA, I would like to see some free Nike style fonts included in the game, like Invader is a good example I can think, or excuse me, Invader is not a Nike font, but I would like to see some Nike fonts included in the game. I think this would really help out a lot in terms of trying to figure out, okay, it just gives you more options to choose from overall. So besides the number fonts, moving on over to different applying logos, I have noticed that you still can't apply logos over the collar, which doesn't make much sense either. It'll just not work at all. And when you apply logos and over the waistband, you'd have to make 2 or 3 layers. Same with applying jersey designs over the pants. So in the future, I would really like to see an option to actually have a design on reverse. Now, Gran Turismo Sport has this feature where you can just take a design and it would automatically flip to the other side. So implementing this, 2K players would, this would really help for 2K players. They wouldn't have to write the exact scale, rotation, and move values just to figure out, okay, how do I equally proportion this design over the side of the jersey. Okay, so now after I talked about applying a design over the jersey, I think another thing that really bothers me about applying numbers is the fact that when you apply a color to a number, it makes it lighter. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think this is the only sports game where I see this problem. And let's just say, for example, I'm going to use this pink that I used for the Oinker squad that I made. Just use it for the player name, and look how light this is. This doesn't even match up with the actual color of the actual primary color. I'll go back and do the same on the back of the jersey. See how it's like a bright pink, and then when you apply it on the jersey, it's almost like a silk color. Like a very silk pig skin color. It just doesn't make much sense. And you would have to fiddle around the color wheel just to get fiddle around with the colors just to find an exact match that you can line up with the shoulder design and whatnot. But this is another problem that's been in the game since 2K16, and yet the developers seem to neglect this problem. In the uniform editor, I would like to see more options for alternate uniforms. More options for alternate uniforms. I mean, you take a look at the NBA, just about every single team has 3 to 4, sometimes 5 alternate jerseys that they wear, and yet 2K will only allow you to have 1 alternate image slot. Back in 2K19, the alternate jerseys were glitched, which really sucks for jersey designers who want to make alternate jerseys to wear. Luckily enough, this was actually fixed in NBA 2K20, but I would really like to see more options, more alternate jersey slots to choose from. I mean, seriously. Come on, 2K. Just give us more alternate jerseys. Give us more freedom on the uniforms. Alright, and last but not least, I'm going to move on to the arena editor. So I look over at the arena, and there are 13 I think it's 13, but only 13 arena options to choose from, which is a little limited for people who want to make maybe a high school style court or a college style court. You're just stuck with 13 options. The Jumbotron options have basically been the same. I mean, I don't really know how else you can really adjust the Jumbotron options except maybe being able to add logos on the Jumbotron. But when I go over to the scorers table, there's only 5 scorer table options. You have the very short 3 panel. You have 4 panels. And then you have 5 panels. And then a red border with 6 panels. And then just a spaced out option with what appears to be about 7 panels. So I really wish 2K would actually give us different scorer table options, maybe having one logo stretched all the way across the scorers table. You see that in the NBA. For example, one of the images I saw with the Minnesota Timberwolves, they had the Libman cleaning logo stretched all the way across the scorers table. I think having this kind of option in the game would really help out, and more scorer table options in general. Don't let us have one logo stretched out. I mean, just don't let us have one logo duplicated 5 times across each panel. I just don't think that's really necessary. Seating, maybe more options for custom seat choices, maybe the ability to design a seat. I know that I think this would help out, but there's not really much you can really do with the seating. Baskets. I look over at the baskets here, and you still can't put logos over the stanchion. I mean, I would like to be able to design the stanchion, maybe put an HP or like the HP logo or an NBA logo, something of that nature right on the stanchion. And there's only 4 basket types, which I mean, you can't really complain about that much, but yeah, I mean, you see some teams, they have different designs, and unfortunately 2K will not allow you to add logos on the stanchion. So I think adding that would really help out a lot as well. And sound effects. I go back to NFL 2K5, and you could actually upload your own sounds into the game. You could have CBS music, you could have ESPN music, you could have Fox music. Yeah, I think being able to upload your own sounds into the game would be very unique. So instead of the preset options that they give you, to say since I made the Oinker Squad, what about after a basket you just hear the pig oink just reminisce all around the stadium? I think this would be really unique to be able to do that. And that's about it for the designing the arena. So now I'm going to move on to the floor, creating the basketball floor. Alright, so moving on to editing the floor or the court for your rebranded team or just a brand new team in MyLeague. There are a couple options or routes that 2K can take. The first option is to provide a completely enhanced court editor system with a couple of changes that I'm going to talk about, or they can just provide a downloadable PSD file to all users. The user can edit the court to their liking and then upload it to the 2K server. So, going with option number 1, which would make the most sense overall, but going with option 1, I would like to see more floor patterns and different colors for the outside perimeter and the inside perimeter. I mean, obviously there's no option for a very light perimeter like you see with the Houston Cougars basketball court and the Utah Jazz basketball court. There's just no option for that. Maybe it's a little bit more defined, I would like to see for the perimeter. Putting images or different designs inside the perimeter. And a good example would be the New Orleans Pelicans. They have a pelican that is ghosted on the inside perimeter. I think maybe having an option to add a design there would be nice as well. Being able to make our own apron design, something like the Memphis Grizzlies, would be really helpful as well. Maybe being able to also add gradients, different designs that extend, and make the court more aesthetically pleasing. And also, as I talked about, maybe adding designs over in the paint area as well. So, I go over to the text and images. And this is what really bothers me the most about the court editor. The fact of the matter is, the baseline, you're stuck in text. Yes, you're stuck in text. All the font options are pure trash if you want my opinion. And when you go in and you put in text, you still cannot add periods. You still cannot add... you can still add at symbols, but you can't add periods, which really sucks because you look at the NBA teams, they'll have like Blazers.com or Pacers.com right on the sideline. And unfortunately, you cannot add that. So, maybe in the future, 2K can re-implement this text and images screen by being able to add your own images underneath the baseline and your own text and images on the sideline. This would really help out a lot. And unfortunately, you are stuck with adding the text here on this one part of the sideline. You can't add any text right underneath the main Oinker Squad logo. You can't add text over here on the left side of the pig or on the right side of the pig. So you're really screwed. You're just stuck in these exact locations. And I go over to the center court, and for the most part, the logo is stuck at a 1-to-1 ratio. And what I mean by that is, I want you to watch what happens when I scale this logo down to, let's just say, 85. Notice how it's stuck at a 1-to-1 ratio. You can't vertically nor horizontally adjust that center logo. See, it's stuck at a 1-to-1 ratio. You cannot vertically adjust it to your liking. It's just stuck in one solitary spot. It doesn't make sense to me. You can vertically and horizontally adjust logos to fit the jersey and uniforms in the uniform editor, but you can't vertically nor horizontally adjust the center court logo to fit what you want. Like maybe you want the pig to go all the way up to where that second NBA logo is. I mean, it just kind of sucks. Same thing with the arena name. It's stuck. It's also stuck at a 1-to-1 ratio, and you can't move it around. So in the future, add the ability to add different images on the court. Ability to add images in different areas. Stop limiting us to certain spots. Maybe being able to add text right underneath the center court, maybe such as a team slogan or whatever. That would be a nice little addition. Adding periods or adding our own images on the sideline and baseline would be really nice as well. So that'll do it here for today's video. Now this idea also came from an article that I saw on Operation Sports that really did an excellent job at kind of describing every little problem that I see with, or that is seen with the uniform and arena editor that could really help improve the customization in NBA 2K20 MyLeague. And that link will be provided in the description. And until next time, I have taken the checkered flag to this video, and I will see you guys next time. See you later, guys.